Well, welcome. This is the 2023 Trends Findings from our Optometry Business Insights Report. My name is Barrett. I'm the marketing manager over Opto here at Weave, and very excited to dive into this with you. Before we get too far, I just want to make sure everyone knows where they can find this report. So if you go to getweave.com, and then up in the top navigation there, you can see you click Resources. That'll take you to this drop down. Go ahead and click eBooks. And then you can see on the right there is the 2023 Optometry Business Insights Report. You can download that, take a look at it. We're going to go over the highlights today. And also notice there's other reports for you to download. And this webinar, when we're done, will be available on demand also through that resources section. You just click on webinars. A lot of great content there on getweave.com. Check all of that out. So let's go ahead and dive in. Here are the sections that we will be covering today. So number one, we're going to look at the current state of small optometry practices. After that, we're going to take a look at patients and how they are raising the bar for small practices. And then we're going to look at staffing challenges and how those show no sign of letting up. It's probably no surprise to anybody on this call, but we'll chat through that a little bit. And then lastly, we want to look at software investment and how critical that is, especially now coming into 2023. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. Number one, first up, we've got the current state of small optometry practices. So what we're seeing is providing that great individual patient experience. That is still key to long-term success of any optometry practice, right? But what you need to think about, especially now in 2023, is a cash-strapped patient base. It's time to really re-examine the experience that you're providing. It still needs to be a top-tier experience, but it needs to be adapted for a more cash-strapped patient base. So what we saw is that out of 119 optometry respondents, 62% said that they've seen patients delay treatment or care due to affordability cost concerns. You know, along this presentation, it'd be very interesting. You compare all of these numbers to your experience. Put it in the chat if you're seeing this higher or lower. But yes, based on the 119 respondents, 62% said that they're seeing that. Now, what does that mean for the practice? How are practices adapting and responding? Let's look at investment. Right, where are the dollars going? You can see laid out here that 38% of practices are actually not investing anything. 23% are investing in digital tools and technology, 20% in hardware, right? Machines, phones, computers, right? For their office, and then marketing, 19% investing on the marketing side of things. If we go a little further, 45% of practices have raised their prices in the last 90 days, and 55% have not. Again, that's the last 90 days. In a second, we're going to look at moving into 2023. But for those 45% of practices that have raised prices, here's how that breaks down, right? So 48% have raised those prices between 1% and 5%. 47% have raised them between 6% and 15%, and then only 5% have raised those prices over 15%. All right, now, what I was saying before, so 38% of practices plan to raise prices in 2023, and 55% think that they may raise prices in 2023. So with those prices going up, I'm sure you're thinking, all right, the price point has to go up, but how do we remain competitive, right? How do we keep patients coming in for exams? How do we keep the retail side healthy? And here's another interesting stat that we found. 1 in 3 providers said that patients are more likely to buy retail if their appointment takes less than 30 minutes. All right, so if you're thinking, okay, prices need to go up, simultaneously, you have to think the patient experience has to go up as well, right? You just got to improve that. Even if you already provide a stellar patient experience, prices are going up, you've got to think about that patient experience side as well. Now, also practices, you really should anticipate an increased interest in flexible payment options like buy now, pay over time, especially with this price increase that we've been talking about, right? So, I mean, we do that through Sunbit, but these buy now, pay over time options, especially for that more cash-strapped patient base, are going to be very important moving into 2023 and beyond. For those patients that aren't as price sensitive, it's still a really good idea to think through your collection methods, right? And speed of being able to collect those payments. So whether that's something like Google Pay or it's text to pay through Weave, being able to collect those payments quickly is also very important. So don't overlook that. All right, so moving on to the second section here, patients are raising the bar for small practices. So patient expectations are increasing everywhere across all industries, right? This convenience economy that we talk about, drive up retail, right? Drive up pickup, app-driven delivery for online shopping and restaurants. Use that all the time. Curbside check-in for healthcare-related practices. That includes Opto, right? I mean, I've lost count of the amount of times that I've heard that Amazon and the experience that they provide has raised the bar for everybody across all industries. And it's true, right? So we also found that optometry is actually keeping pace with this increased patient demand for convenience, but will absolutely need to continue modernizing as, you know, these trends are showing no signs of stopping. So along with this, though, is there are growing tensions between providers and patients. 52% of optometry providers say patients are less reasonable now than even 12 months ago, right? So those expectations are growing rapidly, and those tensions are growing rapidly too. If you think about the services that you provide, you'll likely think, all right, well, how do I differentiate myself? You know, the services that I provide are largely identical, if not exactly the same as my competition, right? So where can I differentiate? Well, none of these bullet points here are going to be too revolutionary, but really thinking through these and polishing the experience that you provide in these areas is a big deal. So if you think about digital paperwork, right? Hopefully you offer digital paperwork, but how seamless is that experience? You know, do patients feel like they have to continue filling out the same items over and over and over? And if there's some kind of compliance or legal aspect, is that being explained clearly to the patient, right? So that they understand. Think through that piece. Quick communication. If you already communicate quickly or you feel like you do, take a look at it. Are there areas that you can do even better, right? If patients are calling in, do they hit your voicemail and are they actually expected to leave a voicemail? More and more, that's just not going to happen, right? When they call in and they don't get a person, do you have some way to quickly text them so that you don't lose their business? They move on to some other provider, right? That quick communication, huge. Marketing. Do you have processes in place to get the word out about different deals you have going on, right? Maybe in the optical, you've got deals on frames and you need to get that out. Do you have ways to email your patients, ways to text them efficiently? If you don't, definitely time to invest there. Convenient payment methods. I mean, we've been talking about that, buy now, pay over time, and those quick payment options that allow you to collect, right? The look and feel of the practice. Putting time and effort into what it looks and feels like when someone walks in. You know, it's not going to be the be-all, end-all. I mean, it could be for some people, but largely that's just a nice area to polish up and have the patient come in and leave feeling like, hey, they're really well put together. Don't overlook that. Record management, also massive. Keeping things organized. The patients are going to feel that. patients will absolutely feel if the office is helter-skelter or if you have things under control. And that's going to lead to the slower or the appointment times not being over 30 minutes, right? Keeping those to under 30 minutes. And then greeting patients, the greeting that patients receive from your team. So just thinking through all of those and making sure that you've got a great experience that you're providing in each of those areas. Now moving to staffing challenges. Those are continuing, right? So 66% of healthcare professionals were short-staffed as of February 2022. And if you look at compensation playing into this, right? So 50% of providers have raised wages in the last 90 days to adjust for cost of living increases. And when you look at that breakdown, you can see that 55% have raised those prices between 1% and 5%. 37% have raised those prices between 6% and 15%. And then 8% have raised those prices over 15%. Now, when we move to hiring and retention, 58% have said that having the latest tech makes it easier to retain good employees. On a previous webinar, we talked about Paul Goff and how he said in his physical therapy clinic, not only making sure that your staff is trained, I mean, that's paramount, but making sure that they have the right technology at their fingertips to do their job, right? And not skimping on that. Because again, employees, the staff, they're going to feel that. And if you value them, you show them, hey, you've got a job to do, and I know that you need the right tools to do it, and I'm going to invest in that. That's going to go so far. That's going to go a really long way. And so be among this group here that understands, you know, retaining those good employees, it's going to have a lot to do with the tools that you provide them. Moving now to this fourth section. So software and investment in software is critical. So some stats here to help us frame this. So 76% of patients prefer receiving appointment reminders via text. And that's comparing to phone calls, emails, or other. You're always going to have patients that prefer some of these other methods. But again, 76% prefer receiving appointment reminders via text. And you've got to automate that if at all possible, right? To make sure your office is running efficiently. 77% of optometry providers say that the ability for patients to pay by text helps prevent overdue invoices. And then 94% of providers agree that a text message reminder makes patients more likely to show up for their appointment. Strong numbers here for texting, but more than just text. So on the technology software side, almost 50% of providers say their phone is the #1 most important technology that ensures their office runs smoothly. So worth taking another look at the phones that you have in the office. How old are those? You know, are you coming on a decade-old phones or even longer? Like, look at those phones. Are they running properly? Are they reliable? That's a large amount that pins phones as their main source of productivity, right? Or a source of success. So 61%, moving to this, of providers typically use at least 3 separate technologies to communicate with patients. So you have that preferred way with texting, but you still need other ways to communicate. You need to be able to call patients and email patients. And so we look at, there's this myriad of ways that you need to be able to interact. And this is just scratching the surface, right? But what we want to drive home is if you can find an all-in-one platform, if you can find a one-stop shop, that will minimize the amount of headaches that you have, right? So many software programs, jumping between programs, seeing if they talk to one another, that can be a massive headache for sure. And so, I mean, what we invite you to do is demo Weave. We can show you how, for your specific circumstance in your office, with your current technology stack, how we can fit in. And we are an all-in-one platform, right? Phones, texting, payments, all of those things. And demo Weave. Let us show you how it works. Let us show you what we can do for you. I want to just remind everybody that at the top of the screen here, there's actually a button, Request Weave Demo. Click that. No pressure, no commitment demo with our qualified experts, and they can really walk you through in much more depth than I've touched on how we can help your office run smoothly in 2023, smoother than ever before. Fight the inflation that we're seeing. If you do need to raise prices, how you can also equally raise that patient experience. Don't skimp on the technology. You will get a return. The ROI will be there, and it will be very positive. So make sure to put the time and effort there. Okay, so we can move to any Q&A. I don't see anything at the moment in the chat. For right now, I will just remind everybody that you can access the full report that we have gone through today by going to getweave.com, go to that resources section, go to ebooks, and you can download the report there. There's many other reports for other industries and previous ebooks that we've done that you'll find useful. And then also this recording, other webinar recordings are available through that resources section as well. And we got a lot of other content too. Case studies, just some great things for you to really dive into and understand how you can improve your practice moving into 2023 and beyond. So really appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you so much. Certainly wish you the best in 2023, and hope you can put some of these things into practice and see improvements where you're at. So thanks again. We will see you next time.